The young Republic of Kazakhstan is heir to a very rich past. Here, every day on what's known as the Silk Route, pilgrims and tourists cross these rose gardens to visit the mausoleum of Khoja Ahmad Yasawi. The 12th century poet and Sufi Grand Master Yasawi lived and died here in the present-day town of Turkistan. Built on his tomb, this mausoleum remains the only vestige of the ancient city of Yazi. The exceptional site is a place of active pilgrimage. The cupola, of almost 20 meters, is the largest in Central Asia. The center of the interior chamber is dominated by a huge bronze vase used for rituals. The mausoleum once constituted an autonomous religious center of 314 rooms. It included a mosque, a library, and numerous study rooms. A stone's throw away from the mausoleum are the old baths, which have been transformed into a modern museum. In 2003, the mausoleum was the first Kazakh monument to be decreed a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The building was constructed between 1389 and 1405 on the order of Tamerlan, founder of the Timurid Empire and spiritual son of Genghis Khan. Khoja Ahmad Yasawi today enjoys a very significant following among the Muslims of Central Asia. His tomb is regularly visited by Kazakhs and pilgrims from all the neighboring republics. The respect and veneration expressed by visitors is understandable when you think that the Yasawi pilgrimage is regarded as a little Hajj, meaning that 3 pilgrimages here are equivalent to a pilgrimage to Mecca. Kazakhstan is not just the country of vast spaces, it's also the country of space. Deep in the steppes, the cosmodrome of Baikonur was the location of the great Soviet space era. It was at Baikonur on the 12th of April 1961 that Yuri Gagarin became the first man to travel in space. The entire Soviet Union, Kazakhstan and the rest of the world followed every second of the Vostok 1 mission. Today, Baikonur is still where the Proton and Energia rockets are launched. The Russians signed an agreement with Kazakhstan authorizing them to use the cosmodrome until 2053. A new launch pad called Bayterek, financed by the Kazakh authorities, will allow the country to launch its own satellites in 2008. Although Kazakhstan is a forward-looking country with its eyes fixed on the stars, the Kazakhs do not neglect their past. The gold warrior on view in the Almaty Museum dates from the 5th century BC. This pure gold military costume includes nearly 4,000 individual jewels. In April 1999, a scientific expedition discovered a Scythian tomb hidden under ice containing the remains of a woman buried over 2,400 years ago. The body of a prince was then exhumed, and then another body, identified as that of the prince's mother. Near these mummified corpses, archaeologists uncovered gold statuettes and the remains of 13 sacrificed horses. The Scythians, a nation of horse-riding nomadic pastoralists, dominated the Kazakh steppes throughout classical antiquity. The only traces of civilization that remain are the kurgans, their tombs. Little by little, and thanks to the excavations carried out in innumerable funeral mounds, the golden age of mounted nomads takes its rightful place in the history of Kazakhstan. The ancient oasis of Otrar extends over 200 square kilometers and reveals the vestiges of 6 medieval cities. The most important of these, Otrar Tobe, was the object of a major excavation which uncovered spectacular clay brick foundations of a city that included a citadel, a suburb and fortified walls. Occupation of Otrar goes back to the very first century of Christianity. This city was located at a strategic place. At the junction between the region occupied by nomads and farmers, it constituted an important stopping point for the caravans passing along the Silk Route. Since 2001, in collaboration with UNESCO and the Japanese government, this site has formed part of a vast restoration and conservation project. Kazakhstan, whose history goes back to antiquity, has more than 30,000 historic buildings and 150 museums, which bear witness to the richness of Eurasian culture. The Silk Route, which crosses this territory, brought stock breeders, caravans and merchants here for centuries, feeding their roving culture with important exchanges. Among the venerated objects of this area, the yurt occupies a central place. Used since time immemorial by stock breeders for its insulation and wind resistance qualities, the yurt imposes on its occupants some very particular rights. Women, for example, must sit down to the right on entering, while the men settle on the left. In Kazakhstan, the tradition of the epic rides of Genghis Khan remains alive today. Village communities celebrate the slightest occasion with equestrian tournaments. Kis Kumai, for example, joins together a couple of riders who act out a short chapter of their mutual history. The human kaleidoscope of Central Asia is without equivalent. With numerous ethnic groups, a diversity of customs and a variety of religions, Kazakhstan today is a model of integration and tolerance. At Green Bazaar, the largest market of Almaty, one sees proof of this diversity. Here, with the greatest pleasure for the eyes and the palate, coexist Turkish spice merchants, Chinese and Korean traders, and of course Kazakhs, in an old-style souk atmosphere. Between the town of Otrar and the mausoleum of Khoja Ahmad Yasawi, many pilgrims stop at the Aristan Bab mausoleum. The current building, dating from the 12th century, was built on the tomb of the masters of Yasawi. This mausoleum is one of the most important stages on the pilgrimage route to Turkistan. It's said that pilgrims who spend a night here live to see their dreams come true.
Welcome to Kazakhstan. Welcome to Aristan Bab Mosque. Now that we are inside the mosque, may the Most High bless everyone here. May there be peace on earth. May all the prayers of people who come here be answered.
Built into the chalk cliffs in the west of Kazakhstan, the troglodyte mosque of Tobikti is one of the many places of worship literally buried into the area of Mangistau. Connected to the Muslim countries by the Silk Route, Central Asia was considered in the 7th century as part of Islam. At that time, many mosques were built and religious schools multiplied. Probably built in the 13th century, the Mosque of Tobikti comprises 3 main rooms and could contain about 100 people. Going underground to pray to Allah was regarded as a sign of devotion in the early years of Sufism, for which the earth represented the mother of humanity. Kazakhstan today is a mainly Muslim country where moderate Islam is practiced. Financed by the Emir of Qatar, the Grand Mosque of Astana is one of the city's major new buildings. The faithful meet here for prayer and ceremonies, observing a marked tolerance for visitors. On the initiative of President Nazarbayev, the Pyramid of Astana, a symbol of harmony and peace between peoples, hosted the Second Congress of World Religions in 2006. Bringing together dignitaries from 70 different religious denominations, the Assembly adopted a charter on the role of religion in world peace and security. Under the direction of its leaders and with ecumenical sensitivity, modern Kazakhstan became the facilitator of a dialogue between cultures. After all, Kazakhstan is a bridge between Europe and Asia.